Hey champions, it is Sunday, it's 1:40 and when I'm recording this, and you may think that you're not going to get a vlog today, but you're getting a vlog today. Uh, Sorry, today I decided to sleep in. I think I just wore myself too thin over the past week. There was a lot of stuff happening on last week, and I got really busy, and all of a sudden I wasn't feeling the greatest by end of day Friday. So yesterday I took the entire day off. I actually didn't touch my laptop at all, except to put it in my bag to take to my dad's place because I went to go spend some time with him. And then I didn't even take it out of my bag when I got to my dad's place. So I was just busy the entire time. Spent some time with my dad, did some shopping in Cambridge because yeah, there's just some stuff on sale over there that I couldn't get in Toronto, so I decided to do some shopping over there. And then met up with one of my best friends. So some of you may know Lionel. He was part of the game design team. He's still a big supporter of the company and has been helping out in different ways along the way. We were just celebrating kind of 20 years of friendship. We've known each other for 20 years, and that's a crazy thing to think about. So we decided to get together, go for a walk, and just reminisce a little bit. So it was a good night. I had a lot of fun yesterday. I hope you did too. I know Heads or Tails hosted a tournament. I don't know how that event went. I'm probably going to go check into Geo to see how it goes. But all in all, it seemed like it was people are really enjoying having organized play out there at their stores. Next month, I know a bunch of stores have put up their events into Geo. So if you haven't signed up yet, I'll be putting the link to Geo in the description. Create your account, sign up to the events that are nearby you, and hopefully we can start seeing more and more events roll out in the near future. The other big thing that's happening right now is I'm working with the Patreon members. So this is a bit of an exclusive thing to Patreon members, but I want to give you the heads up that it's happening, and that is Genesis sleeves. So all the Patreon members, we have 4 different designs that we're considering trying to make into reality, and the Patreon members are voting on them. So I won't show you what the votes are look like, but I'll show you how the sleeves are looking like right now. So we have 4 different options right now. We're thinking about just the basic G symbol, which will look very sleek. I'll be on the matte finish. The pretty solid sleeves. Like I handed them off, the samples off to Alex, and he just started tearing into them. And the one that we went with was the one that endured. So I'm pretty happy about the quality, but we won't know for sure until we actually get the final product, because some companies send their sample products are a lot better than their final products. So we're hoping, fingers crossed, that the final products look really, really nice. All right, the other option was the card back, which I really love. I think these are classic. All of the options here are just supposed to be classic options that will last for a very long time, so that we can order a whole bunch of them and they'll sell over time. And it's just one of those products that we can keep on pushing out as time goes on. The other is just the Genesis logo, nothing special with the background, nothing there. And then finally, using the Genesis logo, but doing it vertically instead of horizontally. So those are the 4 options that the Patreon members are voting on. If this is something you're interested in, you want to vote on, feel free to join on to Patreon. And then we also announce what the Patreon promos are, but I've told you those a whole bunch of times, which are, where is that right now? The 3 cute summons is going to be the next cycle that we're going to do. So there you got the Fire Cub, you got Draconia's Vixen, and the next 2 are going to be a bit of a surprise. And then on top of that, the early access promo is that Raha. So all those look really cool. I'm really excited about these things. I hope you are too. And I'm hoping we can get the sleeves out as soon as possible. It will really just come down to figuring out how long manufacturing takes. I'm hoping they'll be able to actually do a dry run of them and send us samples. So if we get some samples, I might be sending a few of those out to some people so that they can check them out and give us their feedback. But I will let you know as things kind of roll forward. That's I think all the big updates I have. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. So something else that's a really cool, very supportive, warms my heart a little bit, is to find out that a lot of my family watches my vlogs, it's really cool. I love having that support. It's also a little awkward too, because I know my family. So you know the people who are watching you. It feels weird knowing that they're out there watching you. But I say this to my wife all the time. I'd rather her still support and watch and be part of the conversations and things like that, even if it makes me feel a little awkward, because that's something I personally need to just get over. I need to just live with the fact that this is the thing. If I'm putting out content, I gotta know that the people who love me are gonna support me. And so it's a weird combination. Do you ever have that? If you're a content creator or do plays or do anything where you put yourself out there in front of your audience, like write novels, does it feel weird knowing that your family and friends are watching these things? Or is that just me? Am I being crazy here? All right, so that's all the big updates I have to share. I hope, even if you're not part of Patreon, don't think that the only way to support this game is through Patreon. First and foremost, the thing I would love to see you do is support your local game store. That's the most important part. So if you have the option between supporting us through Patreon or supporting your local game store, support the local game store. Because though I personally believe, and I would love it if Genesis was around forever, like the next 15, 20, 50 years, that would be amazing. But the only way for that to happen is if the local game stores survive and they stay as a very strong fundamental part of our cities and our identities of how we grew up and who we are as people. So support their local game stores. That's the most important thing for you to do. Join their events, play at the stores, show them that you love the games that you play. And then if you're inclined to, come support us on Patreon, but don't feel like it's a necessity in any way. All right. So all that aside, let's jump into our spotlight card. So I'm really excited about this one. We're talking about Underworld Knowledge. This is a classic card. It's actually been part of the design process of Genesis for a very, very long time. So let's look at what this card does. 3-chi Chaos card. It's a dark spell. Action, cast, exert, and 1 health. Draw a card. This particular artwork was done by Layla. I was the one who created it. Any card that came from beta, you can bet that I created it. I think my name is attributed to every single card from beta. Let's look at this artwork specifically. I really love this piece because there's a hidden detail that you only get to see in the promo version or if you see the full art here. But that's that little monster coming out of the book that Idris is reading. So some of the landscape here is very different. One thing we tried our best to push, and we're still working on pushing this and making it coherent and making it make sense, is having all the artwork take place within the arenas. But sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Sometimes the communication gets missed. And especially with Layla pieces, it was very difficult because of the fact that she was hand painting. And if you look closely, you can see the canvas in this artwork. Actually, it's very, very prominent. So the fact that she was hand painting these meant that if she got something wrong in the early phases, it was really, really hard to go back and fix that. Where with a lot of digital artwork, if all of a sudden, you know, the color for her hair is wrong or the background's wrong, it's really easy to go in and fix all these things. So that's one of the downsides, but one of the benefits is how personable this piece is. So I love Layla's artwork that she does with Idris. There's definitely a big connection between Layla and Idris here. So this piece is really, really cool. I love the details to it. This card, like I said, had its original printing in alpha. Here's the beta version of it. So this one was done by, I want to say Victoria, or V, it was what we used to call her in the team. But this piece is really cool because it was our initial concept of trying to go into the darker realms of J-Lara. So the characters that are Underworld Knowledge, Underworld Dealings that were not canon, but I think she did a really great job to bring some life to this artwork. There is a promo version of Underworld Knowledge. It was for the Patreon members. This is borderless, extended art. This was the first time a lot of people saw that there was this creature thing that was showing up in Layla's artwork. Now let's talk a little bit about the history of this card. So when I first designed it, actually it didn't have that exert cost as part of it. It was just 1 health, draw a card. And in early versions of testing, this was fine, but that was because Genesis was played very differently. You actually weren't allowed to do as many abilities as you wanted during your main phase. You could only do 1 action, 1 ability. So this really stifled how much you could do a turn. So having Exert, it was inherently on every single action speed ability. Swifts are still played normally, but all action speed abilities basically cost Exert. So that immediately had the card stifled. But when we went over to the current version of Genesis, and I brought Underworld Knowledge over, we didn't do testing because it was like, we didn't do a deep testing on it because it functioned the way we expected it to function, because we assumed things over from Origins. However, when before the card went into printing into Alpha, my brother was testing the card and was like, you know, this version of Underworld Knowledge kind of breaks the game, especially for someone like Idris, because if you have just a deck of Underworld Knowledges and 8 cheese, then during your turn you could just play as many Underworld Knowledges as you want until your hand was nothing but 8 cheese, and then just kept on playing your 8 cheese. So like an Underworld Knowledge Meteorite deck would do really well. Underworld Knowledge and Primordial Force would do really well, because even though Primordial Force is easy to deal with, once you got like 3 or 4 of them on the table, they're a little bit harder to deal with. Actually, she couldn't play 4 of them, but she could play 2. She could play a 3rd one. So this was the big issue. And then luckily we caught that just before going to print in Alpha. Otherwise this would have had to have been another card that either got errata or got banned from Alpha. But luckily we caught that early enough. We put the Exert cost on it and it balanced it out fine. Now normally with most cards, when it goes through testing and we add the Exert cost, the card becomes unplayable. But for this particular card, once we added Exert to it, it became still good. It's one of the best and one of the most played 3G cards. We are, as a community, starting to learn more and more about when to play this and when not to play this. And at the end of the day, I like Alex's perspective, where realistically, this is a card not for Idris anymore. Because every single turn when you're sitting there playing Underworld Knowledge, you could instead be playing Fireball. And Fireball is just it puts that clock on the game. It gives you a lot more power. So having to choose every single round between Underworld Knowledge and Fireball isn't really the greatest. Now, a position where this card really excels is with a Kendra deck, certain Malek decks, or Odara. Anywhere where normally you're going to be ending your turn without using one of your abilities that costs Exert. And if that's the case, then you do get a really good opportunity to play this card and get a lot of value out for it. What's the future of this card? So like I said, I still think it's one of the best 3-chi cards in Chaos. I think it will maintain its position for a very long time, because having a 3-chi that just thins your deck out and doesn't cost you a whole lot. 1 health is a decent amount, but at the same time, early game, it's not costing you a whole lot, and it usually doesn't make or break a game. Now, if you're playing 6 of them, you're definitely struggling, but I'm sure the card draw is what you really needed to survive, to have a chance to survive in that game anyways. So I still see people playing this for the rest of JLR. As long as it's tournament legal, I see this card being played in a lot of Chaos decks. If you're not running it, or if you're choosing some other 3-chi over it, figure out what your strategy is. I actually, on the Chaos side, I think the 2 most played 3-chis are Underworld Knowledge and Oten. So it depends on what position you're really, really gunning for. But they're both very powerful cards. I don't see this going away anytime soon. So I hope you have a good collection of them. Alright, that's all I have to say for now. I'm rambling a little bit. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.